What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Rollin and My 5.0 podcast, featuring yours truly, the infamous project, and the one and only KASL Customs. This week is a random bullshit session between me and Gary. We do not have a dedicated guest, but we got lots to talk about and quite a bit of Foxbody stuff. We get into the Reef Blue Notch pack that sold for over $80,000 on Bring a Trailer. We also get into some Godzilla Swap stuff that I got going on in the shop, and just talking about some other random Foxbody stuff that Gary's got going on and everything else. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. If you guys are enjoying this podcast, be sure to comment, like, follow, tell your friends, do all the good stuff. It's really important, folks, for us to continue to grow this pod and keep bringing you awesome content.
All right, buddy. What's happening?
Oh, not too much.
How's the sun treating you guys down there? Are you getting cooked?
Well, my parents are down and my dad's like, "Oh, a little warm here, eh?" Like, well, 95, good weather. So
That's a standard Canadian comment, eh? A little warm out there, eh?
yeah. So yeah, no, I get a good cross breeze through the shop there, but I actually just took the microfiber to my hat because I had like all the sweat stains on the top.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, man, I get home like by the end of the day, it's like everything's just sticking to you, right? And it's I don't know what the hell they're made of, probably some weird blend, right? And fine when they're fresh and washed, but you start sweating and then all of a sudden you get like that hockey equipment smell starts materializing. And
Yeah.
dude, I tried vinegar. I tried like this anti-mold shit that you add to the wash, and I just ended up throwing all those t-shirts out. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they went through too many. It's probably all from when we did the ship box.
Right. No, they do. Like, I don't know that it even really matters what type of material shirt you have. Like I got some Under Armour stuff, which is kind of the gear for sweating in, and they go to shit on you. Like everything gets a scent. And like you
Yeah,
said, you can pull them out of the dryer. You're like, oh, sweet. I think we kind of won the battle here. And then you get hot during your day wearing it, and you're like, what the fuck is that smell? It's me. Right. But yeah, and the other thing, the one I hate the most is the sticky, like elbow to forearm. And you're just like, oh, I am
yeah.
fucking ripe. Like, get me in water stat, you know?
Yeah, no, we got some good fans and stuff in the shop, but it is insulated. Like this is a commercial shop I'm talking about here, and I'm like, man, there's the shop across the street, Georgetown Classics. They just got like some wall units up, and I'll just go over there to cool down. You know, But
Right.
obviously I want to go and shoot the shit and whatever, and they're a great group of guys to BS with and everything else. So it's actually funny. So the old man, so it's a family run business. So the old man is like Paul Senior, if you will.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there is Paul Jr., and then there's like another brother, and the mom does the books at the front desk and everything. But the Paul Jr. and Senior, like it's pretty much Orange County choppers minus the wrenches flying across the shop.
Is that
So
right?
yeah, and so it's funny. So I've learned that the dad is actually like really intrigued with like the pyramids in Egypt and like
Oh, yeah.
conspiracy level stuff and all these types of
Give
things.
them
So
my
one day I
number.
was in there and I was talking about in Egypt how like an apartment building under construction, none of them are fully finished. Like they'll be missing fascia, they'll be missing like the final touches. And the reason for that is that technically they're finished enough to allow occupancy, but they're not finished enough for completion where you would pay the taxes.
Oh,
So,
sneaky.
yeah, it lives in this limbo. So I forget what got us on that topic. And he's like, fuck, man, you got to come tell my old man this. So you've been in Egypt and this bullshit. So I start telling him this, and he's like, oh, you've been there? I'm like, yeah, I went to a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert at the pyramids. He's like, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah, it was kind of random, but when you're in Dubai, you have access to a lot of countries. And so I started telling them how I went to Armenia and Georgia. In between them is Mount Arak, which is arguably where Noah's Ark crashed into. So
Right.
again, another hot topic. So Paul Jr.'s like, dude, come over here every day, talk the fucking shit of the places that you've gone, and get them to fucking travel the fuck out of here so we can get some goddamn work done. So
Oh, that's funny.
yeah, so it's like, oh, I go to my mom because she'll fucking plan it. So I go and I'm like, listen, just go fly Emirates, enjoy the flight, lay over in Dubai, do some dune bashing, see some cool shit, then go to Egypt or go wherever the hell to all these different places. And yeah, it's kind of funny.
How far is Egypt from Dubai? Like, what's the flight like?
About 3 hours, if I remember right.
Oh, okay. I don't really have like I've got like a bird's eye view from like a map, you know what I mean? But like I don't really have a gauge as to,
It,
you know,
it's sort of, yeah, because like, well, you got the Arabian or Persian Gulf, all right?
right,
Same argument of Gulf of Mexico versus Gulf of the Americas, right?
right.
Um, so it kind of like lives up in that, but yeah, like it's um, like 3 hours to Sri Lanka, you're 3 hours to like Kazakhstan and like Armenia and like those types of countries, and um, a little bit further, like it was like an 8 hour haul or six or seven maybe to like Thailand.
Oh,
Uh, but like shit like Australia, for instance, is just as far almost as it would be for you. It's probably a 12-hour ride for you, give or take, from
I want to
Vancouver,
say
I would think.
it might even be more than that, I think. But maybe that's anyone that I haven't talked to anyone that's gone there in a while, but I think it's a real goofy, like you definitely can't fly direct.
Right. So yeah, you either stop in Cali or Hawaii or like Fiji or some shit, or you'll go to Auckland. I think you do have Vancouver to Auckland, New Zealand direct, and then you'd have to do Auckland to like the East
Australia.
Coast. You're definitely not making it to fucking Perth because Australia is the same pretty much like if you're going east to west, I think it's similar to like whatever, Miami to Cali or Newfoundland to Vancouver
Vancouver.
or
Right?
British Columbia, you know what I mean? So um I guess what I'm trying to say is Australia's fucking far no matter where you are, generally speaking.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of weird when you start thinking about the world in that scope of things, right?
Yeah, because like the
Um,
the equator plays like a huge role. You know what I mean? Like you don't
yeah,
like we get I think especially as Canadians or whatever, even in the US, like yeah, you get closer to the equator, but you don't think that once you hit the equator, it's only halfway. There's a
yeah,
whole world that lives underneath that yet again. And like you think of Argentina, which is super far down there in South America, like that's not a short flight.
yeah,
Um, and that's just a straight line down in
right.
many respects, you know what I mean? So yeah, different perspective. I encourage
Yeah.
anyone to, if you got a physical globe, not only do they make very nice decorative pieces in your home. I'm like a globe. I like clocks and globes. I don't know what it is, but I find them great for decor. And it's like you can always go to a globe and like see something new on it that you didn't see
Totally.
before. Spin the motherfucker and stick your finger down and be like, I'm gonna travel there. And hopefully
Yeah.
you don't end up in the middle of an ocean.
Yeah. I know I've mentioned this to you before because yeah, I knew about the red hot chili peppers out in front of the Pyramid of Giza, and that's a place that I have to go to before I die. And actually, it's kind of funny me saying that, right? Because anyone that listens to us or has listened to us long enough knows that I am a huge fucking supporter of like, if you have something you want to do, you should go do it because tomorrow's not promised. Egypt is the one for me. Like,
Yeah.
I have to see that big bitch. Have
Yeah,
to.
no, it's like honestly, it's in the middle of nowhere to a certain respect, and it's a shithole around them.
Right.
I think there's a Marriott. There is like a fancier hotel nearby. and I know this because I barely remember being pretty much wasted going to meet some fucking random people before the concert.
Right.
But other than that, like areas around there, like it's not very nice. And then, Cairo's kind of, it's Cairo, but then there's New Cairo, which is pretty much like your Dubai, if you will, like the
Hmm.
upper class, like everything's new and fancy. But yeah, man, like cool place. People are cool. Like Egypt is one of those, or Egyptians, I should say, are one of those nationalities that are very scholarly, if you will, like a lot of engineering
Hmm.
background and stuff like that. Well, fuck, the pyramids were built there. You want to talk about engineering, but
Yeah.
um, in Iran, like they're big, like engineering doctors, whatever, like really good. And I say this obviously because I worked in higher education, right? And
Yeah.
previous corporate world. So,
What do they call
despite,
that? The STEM, uh, the
yeah,
STEM, like
yeah, this
science, tech,
technology,
education.
engineering, or
Oh,
some,
and engineering, right?
yeah, and
And then
then,
medical, I think, right?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, good place. And like, if you're into diving and stuff, obviously you got the Red Sea there. So my buddy Spencer, he did a bunch of diving out that way. And which is super cool is like the other side of the Red Sea is technically Saudi, um, Saudi Arabia, and like a middle of nowhere of it. But apparently, and I don't know where this, I think I might have spoken about this before, but there was like this crazy, like mega city, like futuristic project thing that they wanted to build, like this linear
Yeah, it's a big
building.
long thing, right?
Yeah, and it would be like you have your whole, everything is in that, and whatever, like with the tram that runs through it, like end to end and all this shit.
I heard
Um,
they're building it. Like I've
I'm
seen
pretty sure
YouTube
they
videos
were.
talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like there's all this other stuff around it that apparently like it's in a massive free zone area. So of course, like they're talking about like finally letting alcohol be legal. And I want to say that the temperature in that region is actually like 10 degrees cooler than a lot of the other Middle Eastern. So it's kind of like got this really interesting ecosystem of like the landscape even looks really like fascinating if you look at some
Hmm.
of the imagery over there. So super neat, man. And I was actually thinking today to myself, and I know we've spoken about this. It's like, I know I'm like the Dutch documentary is something that I want to nail down this year, but I'm like, I want to do that fucking Middle Eastern tour of like
Oh
Fox
yeah.
bodies, like the Kuwait, Bahrain, UAE, Saudi. You know what I
I
mean? And
think
just,
I think Adnan would put us up, man. We should get him
I
back
asked
on
him,
again.
he said he's like whenever you're ready. But I'm just like, man, we need like a Middle Eastern like GoFundMe thing to, get us out there and bounce. Because the thing is, it's not necessarily the monetary thing because I have feeling like, what I mean, once you got your flights covered, everything is good. It's the amount of time that we require. Like we wouldn't be able to go there and knock this out in a week. You
You
know what
don't
I mean?
think?
Like
I
we'd
got
need,
no gauge on it.
it's just everyone is so friendly and welcoming. At the same time, things don't happen as like quickly and as structured as we're
Hmm.
used to here. So it's sort of like, yeah, we go see Adnan, but then we like chill and he's going to be like, oh man, we got to go to this restaurant. We got to go check this out. I want to show you this. I want to show you that. And it's like, you don't want to turn those opportunities away because like you're getting the firsthand experience of the culture and like the people from within. It's not, you're
Yeah.
immersed, right? And versus just being the tourist that's going around to look at, the fancy shit. Um, so I think like there's a lot of that. And I think like it's just the value of spending the time. I mean, like
Yeah.
even like the tea times that they have, like that's you sit down, you fucking relax, you chill, you have a fucking an afternoon tea or whatever
Right.
it is. Like you don't want to just be like, okay, yeah, no, thank you, yeah, and fucking you're off to the next thing or whatever. So it's sort of like, I guess if you did 3 days in each country, so to speak. And like, you got to remember your first couple of days going that way, jet lag sucks. Coming back, generally, you can adapt a little easier.
Hmm,
So, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to ruin a day or two. Just kind of like getting your bearings straight initially. So,
right.
not to say that it couldn't be done, but I think like just why cut it short? It's like just adding that extra little bit would, I think, add so much value and make the trip and experience that much better.
Yeah, 100%. I know. I think that, you know, it probably wouldn't be exciting for, say, the folks from the Middle East to see whatever type of footage we could gather from our, wingnut travels, because that is how they do things, right? Like the whole cheap paint jobs or the whatever. But I think like anybody on our rock, North America, would be like, I am interested to know this. You know what I mean? We hear all these little whispers of it and whatever, but like to see two doughheads like us go over there and go like, here's what we see as North Americans checking this joint out. I think that'd be pretty entertaining, you know?
No, for sure, man. So yeah, that's I guess throwing it out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Any of
definitely
you sheiks, send the gold plated jet. We'll get on her.
yeah. Or we're fine with we'll fly Emirates or Qatar. It's fine. Or
Right.
shit, what's the other one? Etihad. Etihad's the Abu Dhabi branch.
Air, airline. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. I'd like to say that I've seen that. And then, yeah, maybe I can sneak my pyramid thing in there. Okay. I got to bring this up. I'm sure there's somebody else out there that would want me to as well. Have you seen some of this shit going around about the pyramids? These guys that have done the underground scans?
Like the massive cylinders going like two
Yeah.
kilometers down. So I saw the
I think
initial one, like with
I
some of
think
the
it's
heat
even
mapping.
further, dude. Like we're talking like miles
Well,
down.
I want to say when they first like released that information, they're like, there's a lot more coming.
Yeah.
Like, so they kind of like leaked like just enough. So I hadn't heard any of the follow up stuff.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they've been kicking around ideas for years that this thing is some sort of power plant, right? Which I know doesn't register with any of us, especially gearheads, right? Because we're like, where's the copper? Like what are we talking about here? But I don't know. This gets into like real high level, like earth resonance and all kinds of crazy shit. And yeah, this has really tickled my nose, you know. But like everything these days, right? I mean, these guys go and they put this information out, and I'm not here to say whether it's right or wrong or believe it or don't believe it, but like instantaneously they're shit on. And it seems to me that anytime anybody gets shit on these days, especially in a public manner, you probably want to listen to them because they're probably over the target in some way, shape, or form. It's the stuff that doesn't get any airtime in the mainstream scheme. That's the shit you don't want to pay attention to. It's like, yeah, no, if they're not, raising a ruckus about it, then it's probably bullshit. But the fact that everybody's jumped on this grenade, it's like, I wonder.
Yeah. Well, shit, you got a pyramid on your hat.
True. Which, you know what? I'm sure I've told you this before, definitely not on the air, but like in whatever, as we're just yakking it up, having beers. But I've had people ask me if it's like an Illuminati symbol.
I could see that.
And here's the God's honest truth. It was just something my brother cooked up. And then I kind of spun the story into, well, I got three girls and their initials are in the castle. So I'm like, 3 peaks, 3 points, whatever, three girls. But it was just a harebrained idea. I said to my bro, get me a logo going, and this is what he cooked up.
I just thought it was a British Columbian conifer.
Oh, I guess you could throw that out there too. Yeah.
Like, man, if you were like a forester, like that's
Yeah.
the
Put a little
logo.
stem on her, wherever it
Yeah.
is. Little trunk.
Get into the Christmas tree business, which, hey,
Yeah.
that's big business down here in the South. Just saying.
Is it?
Yeah.
You want to know something that blew my mind in Tennessee? So now this is going to be different, I guess, wherever it is in the world that you're listening to this, but in and around our parts in BC, things that you would use to, decorate around a tree or whatever is either rock or bark, like mulch, right? Well, go down to Tennessee and they use like long pine needles, like almost like if you've ever heard of a ponderosa pine or a big silver pine, like they're a real long needle. They put those around in the flower beds and stuff. And I'm like, holy fuck, like these are the biggest nuisance out here in BC because like those ponderosa pines grow like anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And one like stiff wind and the whole town's covered in needles, right? But then down there, somebody must be charging people for this shit because they're using it as like a decorative kind of mulch.
Huh.
I'm like, fuck, might be a good business idea. I could just bag up all the needles around town and send them down to Tennessee.
There you go. Yeah, I did not notice that.
Yeah, it was actually in the Airbnb we rented. And then as we were cruising around Knoxville checking out the area, I'm like, are those pine needles in the flower beds? And they look neatly done, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
they must have meant to put those there. Like, people pay others to dig them out of fucking flower beds around here.
Yeah.
But well, that, and I mean, massive fire scenario with those. Like, you want to talk about dry, not kindling. What do you call like shit you want to start a fire with? Whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck, I know the words on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, like that shit will go up fast. And they're usually sappy.
Have you ever burnt a Christmas tree that's sat around for 6 months after Christmas?
Even in green format, those bitches are like fireworks.
Yeah. We used to save them, I think, for like Canada Day and just like let them be like just absolutely, completely dry. And yeah, man, they go off like a firework almost.
Yeah, it's like you put brake clean on the fire. Yeah, they get violent.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess that's whatever. Not as much of a concern down there, but I don't know. I guess maybe you factor in the humidity and stuff like that. Whereas up here, we're super dry. So yeah, people try to get rid of them as fast as they can.
Especially Joey Boost.
Right. Hey, I talked to Joey the other day.
Did you?
No. Yeah, I'm trying to think how this all started. I think he just threw a Hail Mary at me and said, hey, did the vert sell yet? And before I could even answer, I got an Instagram FaceTime from him. I'm like, well, I guess we're doing it. So anyway, we sat there and shot the shit for a bit. Now, unbeknownst to me, this Reef coupe that's raising a whole bunch of eyebrows used to be a Joey Boost car.
So you want to go one step further?
Okay.
You know the black notch that only has the doors and roof as original panels? The one that the guy locally, so there was a guy that was looking at my red low mileage notch, even came out to Foxtoberfest, and then he saw it here because he's from Texas, and he didn't want red. He wanted black, which is fine. So he found this car off an individual in Tennessee, funny enough, and black on black 93. I want to say like 31,000 original miles, something like that. Maybe 21,000. Might be 21,000. Okay. Pretty damn low. Anyways, so he brought the car. I did some work on it, and beautiful car. However, from the strut towers forward had been replaced, like inner aprons, fenders, front bumper, hood, rear quarter panels replaced, deck lid, whatever else, right? So,
but it was all done really nicely.
It was like the paint, arguably better than factory, panel alignment, everything. Like when the accident happened, he was told there was hail, right? So when he bought it off this guy, it was hail damage. I'm like, dude, if it was hail damage, the roof would have been changed. Absolutely guaranteed. I'm like, roof skin's original. But I'm like, quarter panels and all this. I'm like, and the craziest thing is the inner apron, when they changed it, it actually doesn't have the hole provision for the center of the fender bolts in the engine bay. So
Oh
it
yeah,
was
right.
a dead giveaway that there's only 2 bolts holding the fender in the engine bay. So anyways, really nice car. He was happy, and as long as he's happy, that's all that matters. So Mustang Week, Galveston comes along, and he comes to me because he was there with the car, and he's like, "Chris, the guy I bought it from wants to buy the car back."
Hmm.
And so he wanted my opinion, my advice, and obviously how much, blah blah blah. Long story short, they make a deal. Guy gets the car back, and then I see a post on Facebook, one of the groups of the car, saying, low mileage survivor, anybody interested, the price is going to be north of 50K. And this is days after the Reef Blue car sells. So I posted as politically correct as I could because I didn't like the fact that, number one, he's advertising a car as a survivor and not disclosing the information. So I said, to anybody who's interested in this car, beautiful car, paint is phenomenal. Like, it ticks all the boxes, but be aware, panels have been replaced, but whoever did the work did an amazing job. So it was sort of like, I mean, here's some information not to take away from the car, but people should be aware.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like I had to have my ethical hat on because, like, I know the scenario. So all of a sudden, Joey Boost messaged me, and with a screenshot of my post or whatever of this car. He's like, "Oh yeah, that guy is." He said something about that guy, and I'm like, "Oh, you know him?" And he sends me a picture of his Reef car. So he bought the Reef car off this guy. So
Oh,
I'm thinking that as soon as that Reef car pulled the insane money that it did, which, by the way, Joey Boost did not make the 80 grand. Joey sold the car to the individual in Washington who then immediately posted it on Bat. So I don't know how much Joey got for it. But I think that the Tennessee owner, right? Same guy that owned the black car, saw the Reef car sell and was like, shit, I need to get something else and catch the coattails possibly of these low mileage coupes bringing, top dollar. So I think that's why he went after and bought the car back. I could be wrong, but that's just sort of the
right.
theory that I've come up with. And it's funny how small the Foxbody world is sometimes, right?
It is. Yeah, in many regards. But I mean, those cars, like there's, what would you say, 25, I don't know, maybe 50 people at most, I would say, that are like dabbling in that deep end of the pool, like big money Fox bodies,
So
you
what's
know.
your opinion? What's your take on the
Oh,
80,000 bid?
that's a ridiculous amount of money. That car should never sell for that much money.
Like, I think it's easily 20K over overpaid
Oh
because
God,
it's
yeah.
like, if that car was a sub 10,000 mile car, I could see it, but at 28,000 miles, it's a fucking driver.
Yeah.
Like, you're way beyond, like, I don't care how rare the color combo is, which to me, Reef and Calypso, and like, they're still, I guess, as unappealing to me as they were when I was young and when they came out. Like, remember, they were chick car colors, right? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Nobody wanted a fucking teal Cobra. Let's be serious. And now all of a sudden it's like, okay, they were rare and it's a notchback or it's a Cobra, so it's desirable. Um, yeah, I'm blown away by that bid, man. I really am, because like, that's more than a 93 Cobra with 28K would have sold for, I think.
Right. Well, and I have heard some rumors through the grapevine that there was maybe some fuckery in the bidding, right? Friends involved and kind of running it up and whatever. Um I don't know. Who knows, right? There's always wives' tales in and
Well,
amongst
that's
these
the
big
question,
dollar
right?
cars.
Did the high bidder, has he taken possession of the car? Like, was the
Right.
transaction actually completed? Is the first question. The second question, like you said, is this an exercise to promote something else that's going to be coming in the near future
True.
to help, you know what I mean, sort of inflate the market up and do things that way? Because yeah, no, it's too much for that car. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, even I'd say well, at least in my opinion, you'd probably even be light saying that thing was overpriced by 20 grand. I'd say 25 to 30 grand probably,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, now when you're talking about a $5,000 spread between, say, it being 50 or it being 55, well, that's just catching somebody on a good day. You know what I mean? Like if you're already spending 50 and somebody wants that color, whatever, the mileage, everything ticks their
Well,
boxes. It's like, you know what I
and
mean? You're going to
remember,
get it.
so it's the buyer that pays the fee on bring a trailer. It's not
Right.
like the seller pays the listing fee.
Yeah.
So the buyer would have paid 5%, which is an extra 4 grand. So it wasn't 80,000, it was 84,000.
Right.
And then if
Yeah.
there's
Like that's,
transport involved, you're talking 85,000 minimum landed to your door unless the guy lived down the street.
yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like you say about the 28,000 miles, like 28,000 miles, like, it's still a young car when you consider like, hell, whatever, 70, 80 being a young car. Like 28's young, but 28's still a lot of miles. Like this thing's going to have most likely door dings, a couple rock chips, like in my opinion, $80,000 means like this thing's still got the fucking plastic on the mats,
Yeah. Like, man, I
you
think
know?
of my silver notch hasn't even turned 20 yet.
Yeah.
Like I'm sitting, I think at like 18,000 and change. And that's with 373 gears its whole life, running the fucking speedo up higher than it actually is. So it's probably, the car in reality is probably 14, 15K mile original on it.
Right.
Like, fuck, do I pull my Detch kit off and fucking throw the bitch back to factory and pull 100K?
Put some ponies on her and yeah, throw it up
Like,
for a hundo.
Christ, you know what I mean? Like, and again, YN 1 year only. Man, I'd favor a YN on black any day
Mhm.
over a fucking Calypso or a Reef, but that's just me. Or like, a,
Yeah.
I'd even take electric current red, I think, over Calypso or Reef, and I don't even like red.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very, very weird one. Again, I don't think I'd have as many weird feelings if this thing sold for say 60 grand or
Yeah,
55 or whatever, like you're going, okay, like this is the thing. I've said this, my comparison whenever we're talking prices on anything is like internet providers. Nobody minds paying for their use of the internet, but make sure it works. You know what I mean? That whole thing. Well, same thing goes for like a car, right? Now, I don't have the collector's brain either, right? So like I'm not willing to spend whatever a fucking 93R goes for these days. Like that just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, but again, I'm admittedly not of that collector mindset either. And those guys are, and they do well. You know what I mean? Look at how much shit Donkey fix it took for buying that 93R for 120, whatever it was. And now they're
But,
two.
but even then, like, okay, so Donkey was one of the first to pay over 100 for like something that, like, we know a Cobra is a Cobra. We know a Celine is a Celine. Like a lot of this stuff is shot up, but like, how much more could that Reef car be worth? And let's say the guy wants to sit on it for 10 years. And I've talked about this time and time again. It costs money to own a car, even if you're not driving it. Like, you got to factor in it's at least $1,000 a year for insurance to make sure that it's starting, running, doing the things, you know what I mean? Inside, stored in climate control or whatever to protect its value. So let's say he wants to hold on to it for 10 years. That's at $10,000 more. Okay. So now it's $95,000 worth of investment.
Yeah.
And like, for what? To sell the car for 100K? That car's not going to fucking pull 100K. It'll never pull 100K. Like, not in any way that I would feel comfortable putting my chips on the table to guarantee me that $5,000 return after 10 years. Like, there's way easier ways to make that $5,000 than that car.
That's true. Well, and I mean, if you look at just staying in the Mustang genre, say like you take a 65 coupe, right? And I mean, you can find those on Marketplace right now for
perfect
15 grand.
example. Did you see the 60? It might be a 67 coupe that Gas Monkey got with 1,200 original miles.
Oh no, I haven't.
So they picked this thing up and they were like, you know, I think it's green. Like, all like original tires are still on this fucking car.
Okay.
And they're like, anybody interested? Like, we're gonna post it up for a reasonable amount of money if you're interested in purchasing it. Otherwise, after 2 weeks, we're gonna modify it. So I'm like, whatever. I'm intrigued. I sent them an email and got back to me within 2 hours. 50 grand buys you a 60s fucking coupe with 1,200 original miles on it for 50. And we're talking about a Reef Blue 28,000 mile 1993 selling for 80. How does that fucking make sense?
Yeah, that's a good comparison, actually. The computation doesn't work. You know, the multiples are off.
And like, it fucked with my brain. I'm like, God damn, should I go bring 50K and go pick up this? Like, again, if I was to put chips, if I was betting, I'd be betting on the 50K investment and sitting on that thing for 10 years than this so-called Reef thing. I don't know. Maybe somebody just really wanted it and has way too much money, and you know what I mean? That's fine. Cause like, how much cleaner of one can you find? Or if you're not like have a circle, a network to find a pocket listing or something, but yeah, man, it's crazy.
It doesn't quite add up. I know. I think to put a bow on this thing, right? Like, either something is fishy, right? And there was some like insider bidding or whatever you want to call it. Two, you found somebody that, like, you know, their mom owned that and she died a few years ago and wanted to do it in memory of her, you know, like something heavy memory related. Or three, you caught somebody 16 beer deep and a couple bags of Cheetos in and went, I want that car. I'm doing it. Maybe just got in a scrap with the old lady. Oh yeah, I'll show you. Bid.
Well, you know what?
Bid.
I think maybe, let's say maybe a month or 2 months. I will go out of my way. I'm going to spend the $20 and I will run the Carfax on that fucking VIN and see if it actually transferred to a new owner.
Hmm.
And then we like put it out there and see. Cause like, I get it. There's a lot of people that'll leave the title open. But at this point, there's no point. We know there's multiple owners on that. We know the guy in Tennessee owned it, whether it was in his name or not, doesn't matter. It needed to go into someone's name for when Joey Boost owned it because it got imported. So that's going to be at least 2 owners, like minimum. And then we know it was registered and titled in Washington for the sake of bring a trailer, because you have to have it. Again, they came from Canada, came back into the US. Somebody had to put that shit in their name. So we got a minimum of 3. It's not going to matter or hurt at that point if there's a 4th or a 5th or a 6th owner on that car. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
the collector thing Yeah, the collector side of it doesn't really add up to me. I'm trying to put myself in a collector's shoes, and I'm thinking like, okay, colors rare, black guts, but like the mileage really throws me for a loop. I'm just like, yeah, this is not collector status, Like imagine you were one of these guys that's got 150 cars in, climate controlled storage, and you walk by like, oh, cool, that's a Reef. What's the deal with it? It's got 28,000 miles. Like, you know what I mean? Like that just does not add up.
Yeah.
So I think you can throw the collector side of it out the window.
Well, maybe that somebody really wants it and like, oh man, instead of going out and buying a brand new M4, I want me a Foxbody, and I'm gonna spend, I don't know how much an M4 is. I'm assuming it'd probably be up in and around that region, or M3 or whatever.
Yeah.
And like I'm just gonna get this Foxbody and treat it like a daily.
80 grand though. Jesus. US. Like for all you Canucks out there, we're well over 100K for this car.
Yeah.
Fuck. Like it just, I don't know, man. Something's off with this. There's a tear in the matrix.
Yeah. Well, I think that's yeah. Remind me, or if anybody else out there. I mean, the VIN is clearly available because Bring a Trailer leaves all their listings up, so you'll be able to grab the VIN number and run a Carfax on it, and let's see if it actually changed hands.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I guess we should maybe put an extra bow on this and say, like, to each their own. Okay. If somebody out there legitimately spend 80 grand, sorry, we're not trying to shit on you, but like, I don't know, call a friend next time. Like maybe there's a few of us out there that would say to you like, whoa, put that 16th beer down. Don't hit bid again. Jesus, Murphy.
Yeah, because man, even at 80, like you could build a really nice car at that point.
Holy shit, yeah. Like
One that
there's
would like drive better and do all the things, and you could paint it Reef Blue, like. And don't get me wrong, I know there's value in Reef. Like that one that I had that had the built 408 in it, I think I got 42 or something for that car. And it was around the same mileage,
right.
but gray interior. But, at the same time, it had miles on it, but it had like a fully built 408 underneath the hood that fit underneath the factory hood as well. And like to me, that made sense. Like you couldn't find a Reef that clean and do a build on a car the way that build was done for that money.
Yeah.
So
it was fuel injected and everything too, wasn't it?
yeah, like a T56, and yeah, no, it was like all gone, but like looked stock. It was the most unassuming beast that you could think of.
Huh. Yeah, see, like now we're talking like there's some like real deal proper value, especially anyone that knows like what parts cost, what time costs. When you see something done to I never saw that one in person, right? But heard from you, right? Like high quality, high-end work. Yeah, like you're upside down at 42 grand if you were the builder.
Yeah.
Especially for a low mile car like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, man, it's crazy. This
Yeah.
Foxbody world.
I know. I'm all about logic. You know what I mean? Like I've had a handful of people reach out, like, and actually people I don't even know, right? So just for the record, these aren't just my friends trying to make me feel better or whatever, but they're like, man, you're giving that car away. I'm like, well, and we're talking about the convertible here. So I'm like, honestly, like, the way I see it is kind of like my internet provider example, like fair money for fair service or fair product, fair whatever, right? And yeah, let somebody else have fun with it, whatever, right? I'm not trying to blow the fucking roof off of Bring a Trailer here or anything. It's just like, what's a fair value, right? So, and sure, there's always going to be that like, whatever you want to call it, 3, 4, 5% of people that are like, oh my God, you're asking for the fucking moon. But when the vast majority of people go like, that's not bad, right? It's like, okay, I guess my head is where everyone else's head is at. Now, again, back to the lack of logic that $80,000 for this car goes to. It's like, holy, like, are we all hearing this correctly? You know?
Yeah. Well, shit, man. On the convertible topic, which I'm sorry that yours has not yet moved. I'm actually quite surprised with the season and everything else.
Yeah.
I've got a set. So I'll be having a video that's titled, I thought I would never do this.
Oh, you did it?
I haven't done it yet,
But you're
but
gonna.
I don't know if you saw my post of the blue and silver two-tone GT.
Yeah, I
That
did
was
today.
like,
Dude, looks
yeah,
good.
yeah. So he wanted, so number one, like he has an SN95 rear end in it. So the offsets of the rear wheels, the ponies the chrome ponies that he had on it, they had like the poke thing, and the back was raised up enough so that the rear quarter panel wouldn't hit the tire. And so he wanted something different. And I'm like, listen, man, I got this set of ROH snipers that are offsetted for the SN95 rear diff. I'm like, it's perfect fucking fitment. We can drop the ass end of the car. Like I sent him a picture of the wheels, and he was sort of like, I don't know, man. I'm like, dude, just let me bolt them on because I gotta like play musical wheels in the shop anyways. And let me know what you think. So of course I get them on. I lower the rear of the car down in inch and a half. Send him a picture, and he was like, "Holy fuck!" He's like, "Phenomenal." So needless to say, there'll be a little bit of a credit given to him to take his old 5-bolt chrome 17-inch ponies. So which means I got to do 5-bolt conversion, but I've got another car in the shop that had the poor man's conversion done on it.
Yeah.
That's going to a proper Cobra upgrade. So I'm just going to take those old rotors, old drums. I got to cough up axles, obviously. But yeah, I'm just going to swap it and bolt the fucking chrome ponies on there. And
See what happens.
And at that point, it's like, okay, everyone, this should appeal to everyone now.
Should
Come get her.
broaden should broaden the horizons a bit for sure. Oh, that's funny. Holy shit. You might not hear the end of this one.
Oh, I know. But, for resale, it's like, whatever. If that's what you guys want, then that's what you get. And I thought, like,
Yeah.
honestly, the problem is, like, I don't really even want, like, Marketplace sucks balls, as we know. And I'm like, fuck, do I just throw that bitch up on Bring a Trailer and, like, let her fly? The thing is, it could go for, like, 10 grand, or it could go for, like, 20 something. You don't
Right.
know. So,
Yeah. Well, and Cabernet is one of those colors too that those that know it are in, but like it sort of flies around like the mainstream. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's sort of a weird one like that. You don't see a lot of them, which to me is appealing, right?
Yeah.
But to everyone else, it's like, oh, it's not black, it's not red, it's not Reef, it's not Calypso, right? But that thing with like black interior, I mean, I've already went on my rant on that car, so anyone that missed it, like, go a handful of pods back and you'll hear me fucking seriously rave about it. Like, it's a stunning car,
Yeah.
like very, very nice car.
Well, I think like
And
the key things, right? Like the fact that it's stick, because there's a lot of autos out there. The original
especially in
black,
that combo, like that
yeah,
would be an automatic car all day,
yeah. And then like the light bars in it, the canvas top, like the window functionality to me is worth like 2 grand on its own. The fact that you
Totally.
can put fucking shark fins up and down, whether the front windows are up or down, or the top is up and down, and that they fucking close and they seal, and you can wash
Yeah,
the car and water doesn't fucking get in. That's a $2,000 option. Like I'm
easily.
scared to even like put the windows down now because like everything works and closes perfect. It's like if something stops working, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, we drove that bitch through the rain and we were both like, what is going on right now? Like, how do we not need
And
raincoats?
dude, when we arrived in Detroit is when we got flooded. And there
Yeah,
wasn't a drop inside the car.
no. Yeah,
So
we arrived in the rain, right? That because we couldn't get into the damn hotel room that night or Airbnb. Oh yeah, and then the fucking roof of the Airbnb leaked.
which, by the way, they have still not their insurance provider or whatever that's like out of the UK or some shit. They're like just dodging me. Like no responses, no nothing. So
Really?
fuck Airbnb with a capital F. Like seriously. Like it's not a
Yeah,
joke. Like fuck, man. Like the roof leaks and destroys your electronics and like potentially my passport. Like and wallet, and actually it did fuck up my wallet. Um, yeah, just no recourse, no nothing. Like we didn't even get a full refund on the fucking room. They still charged us for that night.
that's right too. Yeah. Yeah,
No
that was
fucking
weird.
shit tickets, no fucking like utensils. Like you couldn't fucking shit or eat.
I know. It yeah, that was something else. But I mean, what made me think of it is yeah, it was pissing rain. Like we had rain on and off on the way down. And then by the time we hit the Ambassador Bridge, it was coming down like cats and dogs. And then it didn't stop until the next day. And then even then, remember, because we had to go to or no shit, it was me and Dale. We had to go up to Glenn's house and the road was flooded. Like they got just pelted with water that leading up to the show. And
Yeah.
actually, oh no, that was the year that it was good. The year before, we got rained on. That was the shitbox year, right?
Yeah.
We got rained on at the show. Yeah,
Yeah.
old Detroit get some weather swings for sure.
Yeah. I'm
But
hoping
anyway,
it's good for well, I hope it's good for Motor City Fox Fest, and I hope it's good for Woodward, in which I was talking to our friend Bill Butler the other night actually. And shit, now I forget the name of the show. It's that other Mustang show that's
oh, um, yeah, drink. No, it's
Dream or
not Dream.
something or fucking I don't know. Anyways, that
Yeah.
show is actually the day after Woodward on the Sunday.
Oh,
So I'm like, fucking
hmm.
A, like I have no, so I think Kevin is actually going to ride, he's going to ride down to Woodward with me. And then I think he's actually going to take the ride with me back to Texas,
Oh,
um,
beauty.
in the 90 GT I picked up. So, and then he'll fly home. So like, we're not going to be on any rush schedule. So yeah, maybe stick around, check that show out on the Sunday, and then start making our way south.
Right. Yeah, because that's everything from 64 and a half up, right? That
Yeah.
Mustang show. Right. Yeah. Um, I know. I just going back to that weather thing, right? You see it all, or you can see it all when you're up there, right? So I don't know. Between the Great Lakes and everything else, like, yeah, I think it just throws everything for a fucking tailspin, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. Hey, so I got my gauges working.
I saw you had little demos, pushing little buttons underneath and switching through
Yep.
functions and shit.
Now, one that I don't know about, but I'm gonna know more tomorrow is so yeah, I put buttons in for each one, and the one that doesn't really make any sense to have a button on is the AFR, right?
Mm,
Because if you're gonna do dual, why would you just want to watch one? But and because you can I don't know. I guess maybe it's just a neat feature to have. But anyway, the little ECU that controls the gauge does have a button deal on it. Well, anyway, last night when I filmed my video, I do the two, or before I filmed the video, I tried them all and I'm like, fuck, the AFR one doesn't work. What the hell's that all about? Then it dawns on me that when I soldered my wires onto that one, I don't know if I just had one of those daydream moments or whatever. I think I got a little rowdy with the soldering iron on the switch because once I had my wire on, I'm like, oh shit, the terminal's moving a bit on here, right? I'm like, ah, fuck, they're tough. They're switches, right? It can't be that bad. I'm pretty sure it was the AFR one. So anyway, on to Amazon, $10 later, you get 10 of these little momentary switches. I'm interested to see how that one translates into like individual gauge mode. You know, do you get like a great big AFR written across the top and then it just tells you left or right? I don't know, because Lewis, who's been the funniest throughout all this, sent him pictures and he's like, oh, those are too small for me, right? I already need readers just to see the tack and speedometer. How the fuck am I ever going to see these things? So when I had them ultimately wired up so I could push button the deal, I sent him pictures of that. He's like, ooh, borderline. It's maybe still a little too small. I'm like, fuck off. Surely you can see this, you know?
Man,
But anyway,
I don't know if you could see it. So there's a funny story that Brittany has that we were staying somewhere, or maybe we were staying at their house or something, and I forget. So she walks in on Lewis and Laura, like whatever they were trying to read, they had, oh, fuck, I'm gonna fuck this up, but just pretend like they were trying to look at something in a magazine. So Lewis had his phone and using it as a magnifying glass. And then I think
oh,
Laura had her phone on top of his phone, magnifying it again.
come on.
So they were like, so Brittany walks in, it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? They're like, we can't fucking read this. So she goes over and
Oh,
it's like, oh, it says this.
jeepers. Okay, well,
So there
yeah,
might be
maybe.
some truth. Maybe he wouldn't be able to read them, but yeah, man, no, I think they look super cool. So I might have to go down that rabbit hole to get some air PSI readings for the silver car, which I know we were talking a little bit about vintage air earlier, kind of in a off-topic conversation.
Yep.
And then I was like, I need to ask Gary in his like real honest opinion. So for my silver car, if you had the option, would you put OEM AC in it or would you put a vintage air unit in it?
Ooh.
Knowing what you know. So obviously I've got a brand new AC compressor that's like the brand new silver cast. It's not a reman, painted
Right.
black bullshit. And obviously you can buy all the lines and the condenser and stuff. The heater box being probably the biggest one in the dials. But I have a really nice heater box that, I mean, yeah, I'd have to put an aftermarket. Well, I can get the new NPD heater core, right? The brass, because they've re-released that. And then,
Yep.
yeah, I'd have to do evap in there just to make sure there's no leaks. But yeah, which way would you go?
You know, buddy, I'm gonna lean towards the vintage air, but it would be a harder decision for me to make if you said to me, I've got everything in like NOS, then I would be like, oof, okay, that gets a little tougher. But when you're, dealing with, I don't know, like you change the heater box in that silver car and you've had it long enough, you know what that car smells like. The car's going to have a different smell now. You know what I mean? Like heater boxes can get punky.
Man, I'll clean that motherfucker with vinegar. It will be smell free. To be honest, there's something with the silver car and the leather that they use. The leather is fucking potent. It's almost like, I don't know if they glued something or used glue in a certain aspect, but like, man, in like when it's really fucking hot and because there's no AC in that car, um, it's got like this strong fucking aroma. Like it almost wants to make your eyes burn, to be honest with you. Um,
Right.
so the only thing that's changed or like that you can tell, it's like it's got to be something from the Recaros. Um, so whatever, man. The smell, I don't have like aside from knowing what it smells like with the Recaros, that is one car that I don't think I've actually put enough seat time in to have that nostalgic smell that you're talking about. Like if you were
Okay.
talking about my white coupe, that car
Right.
has like as soon as I fucking sit in that car, I'm fucking 20 again or however old I was when I built that car.
Yeah, you're
Um
home.
yeah, the stalker vert, fucking constant whatever, coconut air fresheners and fucking rich fuel mixture smells. And everything else, like it's got like, but yeah, the silver car, the smell, not a concern.
Okay. The other feature that I'll say that the vintage air is quite neat for is like that kind of digital, like almost soft touch tick, that you kind of get from a new vehicle. It's actually quite neat, and you're not dealing with especially if you like in an old car with the cable, right? That's going to swap you from cold to hot. And it's like the, and
Yeah.
you know, there's none of that, right? It's just and now I shouldn't make it sound like that because it's not like a beep feel, but you actually have you feel the
Like
little indent.
notches. Yeah, yeah. And
But no,
so
but not
so the
like the
thing,
notches you feel in, say, like low heat to high heat in a standard OEM heater control. It's just these nice little indents. Tuk, 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 right?
okay, so I'll give you two reasons why I'm intrigued by the vintage air. That's going to sound really stupid probably to a lot of people, but then again, I make decisions based on the stupidest, smallest things. Like buying a car to match a pair of shoes that you have, like um number one is actually the climate control thing. And I know we talked about like the buttons and like the ratio is kind of like the look of it is kind of off, but and you might not remember the head unit that I have for my stereo, but it's like this extremely high end Sony thing that's very, very minimalist. So there's just like
Right?
one main big knob. There's no like, there's a tiny little LCD screen that's like smaller than your little gauge things are to just, it's the bare basics. However, it's like one of the most high def performing decks out there. Um, so to me, I was like, that's extremely simple. The vintage air thing is very simple.
Right?
And for whatever reason in my head, I thought I had a climate. So my climate control face right now is a custom silver, as is the gauge cluster with the ice blue backlighting. Um, I thought I put a AC climate control in thinking or knowing that I would upgrade it at some point. Well, lo and behold, now that I'm actually trying to get work done to that car, I didn't. I actually have the silver face was made for a non-AC car. So
Oh,
it would either mean at this point now, it's like I got to reach back out to Black Cat Customs and say, listen, I need this gauge face remade in silver and it's got to be the same damn silver. And then, put that on versus say maybe having this thing that's more of a cleaner look that I mean, I won't have the silver face that the gauge cluster is, but the gauge cluster, and then there's a triple gauge pod in the A pillar that what I mean that matches. And I feel
yep,
like the vintage air stuff could possibly match the head unit better than what I
yep,
have right now, I guess is what I'm getting at. So in terms of clean, modern, simple approach,
yeah.
that is kind of the only reason why I want to consider the vintage air.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, another one, if you've ever got any plans for doing anything like behind the glove box, which last night I kind of confirmed that all this was going to be the path I was going to go as I go to put the LMR's digital gauge cluster in that car. I'm like, fuck, I got to mount this Dakota Digital brain somewhere, right? And I had put it in the same spot in that Project Revert car, but that car had an original heater box in it. And it ended up getting like quite tight as I tried to tuck it in behind the glove box in that car.
Yeah.
Well, I dropped my glove box down last night. I'm like, holy fuck, like you could hide a box of beer back here. Like that vintage air heater box is so much smaller, you know?
Right.
So lots of real estate behind there to fart around with. They come with a Spall fan in them. That's where the amount of people that still reach out to me going, man, your comment about parting your hair from the back seat with that fan that's in it, like
Yeah.
it blows hard for sure. Yeah, it's neat. Oh, One of their other neat things, which was I kind of hummed and hawed about when I put it in, but I'm like, you know what? They thought this through. You know, their engineers make more money than I do. I'll just run with it. They've got one of those little like digital like one-way valves that won't run coolant through your heater core when you don't
Oh
have your
yeah,
heat on,
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
which you can go online and find a lot of old boys going, "Oh fuck, it's just another part to fail." And that's kind of where my head was at, right? When I was looking at it. But it actually, well, it's all part of their design and it all sits in there nice and tight and clean and whatever. Um yeah, I don't know.
Hmm.
It's well, and you don't have your dryer hanging off the firewall. You get rid of that. That goes to the front, like it's now off the
All right.
condenser.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Right? Gives you can whatever get fancy with your hoses, but I mean you're in AC country. You get somebody make you some hoses that
Okay.
kind of hide things better. And I like the kit. I know my biggest knock, and I was fully transparent with this. I'm like, man, that controller system. I'm just like, it's not OEM. And Vintage Air, funny enough, is very well known for like being bang on in those regards. Like you
Yeah.
get an AC system for an old C10 pickup, heater control is the same. It's just got a little Vintage Air insignia on the corner of it, you know? So I was like, why did they do that here? And I don't know. We'll have to find that out someday.
Yeah.
But it's grown on me. The other thing too, shit, buddy, I guess, well, yeah, you only seen the car once. We should have flicked the lights on. The back light of the heater controls is quite neat. They're all kind of backlit. So I don't know. Kind of goes with my haywire ride gauges and the vents and shit, right? But
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's something like because I'm at that point right now, right? Obviously, the car's kind of stripped apart, and I'm like, I want to get all this shit done and out of the way that I've been trying to do for a long time. So, uh, yeah, it all comes down to, I guess, just kind of like the look. I'm not concerned about, I guess, the hoses or necessarily too much because underneath the hood of that car isn't factory, right? Like
yeah.
it's got some mods underneath there. So to me, that's it's kind of irrelevant. So I don't know. It's a tough call, man.
Have to see which direction you want to go. But I mean, it is like like it's a big endeavor for sure to install. So one of my biggest regrets after putting that kit in is I'm like, fuck, I wished I would have spent or I would have done a better job of like documenting how long it took me. Now, a friend of mine in Alberta just paid to have one put in his coupe. And I'm like, hey, I don't want to like throw salt on the wound here because I got a pretty good feeling. He pre-called me and said, hey, what am I getting myself into? And I'm like, again, I didn't document it. I don't know, but I said, I would tell you that like for someone that considers themselves handy and is willing to jump into this, probably get after it over a long weekend, right? Like there's a lot of moving parts and you don't want to screw any of this shit up and the dash is coming out like whatever, right? So, and I said the biggest pain in the ass for me was getting all of those vent hoses tied in, right? It just as you start putting those on, you think to yourself, holy shit, I got all the room in the world. By the time you go to put the second to last one on, you're like, I don't even know where this one's going to go. And you're trying not to squash them and knock any of them off. It's a bit of a gong show. But anyway, the point of me saying all that is I said, hey, what did they hit you with, right? And he said, well, they did do some other things in there, but like they had 40 hours into the car. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Like, if you're going to a reputable shop and he did use a reputable shop, like you're 35, 40 hour install. Now, I could probably shave time off of that like anything you do, right? Once you've done it once, you're like, okay, I know where this goes. And fuck, you're thumbing through the book, you're trying to follow the steps. But I'd say like probably if you were moving 30, like
Dude, so let's put it this way. If I was going to do a factory AC install, I'd have it in 4 hours.
In and done?
In and done. I'd have the heater box out and done in an hour.
Dash
And
back in.
And dash. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to do a couple other things, right? But the reality is, like, if the heater box is prepped and has the new heater core, new AC evaporator core, and it's all clean, ready to go, I'll probably have more time in that than probably anything. But let's pretend, new parts getting installed for parts getting installed. I could have that heater box swapped in an hour. Dash out and back in.
Jeepers. That's pretty impressive.
But I've done a lot of them, you know what I mean? So like I know that I can do that. And then obviously, yeah, you'll put the receiver dryer back on the 2 bolts on the bracket. That it needs to be all painted. So I'm actually gonna have more time probably invested in cleaning, prep, painting to make sure that the OE stuff that you need to use is going to be in tip-top, condition to reflect the condition of the car. Obviously, all the lines will be brand new. With the dryer will be new, the condenser will be new, the compressor is new. You know what I mean? I'd have all that shit. In reality, if everything went smoothly, that'd be another hour and a half. So I think I could do everything in 3 hours, but I'd give myself the extra hour buffer.
That's aggressive.
Maybe I should live stream and see how it goes. Like if I do go that route, but yeah, to your point, the vintage air stuff to do it all first time around. Yeah, it's going to be a lot more than that.
Right. Yeah. Have you ever had the dash out of that car?
No.
Be a first time.
The closest thing is the climate controls. I don't even know if I took them out to do the face on it. The gauge cluster has been out because I pulled the gauge cluster out. I had to pull it all apart to put the silver face shit on there. So cluster cover and cluster is the extent. Steering column has not been touched. None of the fucking dash frame or shell has been removed.
Well, any of you Foxbody nuts out there listening to us talk about this, I'm sure your head's at the same point that mine is right now. I can just hear each one of those screws crack, crack, crack,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Chances are that dash it went in once and it's never been out then.
Yep.
Crazy. You don't see that very often. I was actually thinking this as I was filming the little segment in my video. Once I got the gauges all lit up last night, I made a point of saying, I'm like, I bought this bezel used, and I'm like, the story that this bezel could tell, if it could talk, right, is one thing. Who knows how? Maybe it only had its life in one car. Maybe it had more. Even still, the stories that it could tell, right? And then it probably thought to itself, if it could think, I'm probably going to get turned into Ziploc bags at some point in time. You know what I mean? And then now here it is, it's had an absolute day at the spa, right? From a new paint treatment to getting cleaned up, whatever. And I'm taking it to like 2030 fucking digital standards, like this dash is just beaming, going like, holy shit, I never expected to be treated this good in life.
Oh.
Buddy, while I'm thinking of that though, I will say, now for as many items that I've got, in these 3 little 1.3 inch screens, so essentially 2 items on each screen, there's a lot going on behind that bezel. And I had a few moments while I was wiring it all up, I'm going, like, this may not all fit, right? Like, we're really running out of real estate quick. It will fit. And it's like, I don't know, it almost too perfect. As when I got it all set in there, I was like, okay, what's going to fall out of here? Like something's going to let go. You know what I mean? And, and up until I kind of started taking a run at it Sunday night, and I was like, shit, how am I going to do all this and then still make the bezel somewhat removable? Right. I'm like, you don't want to be going in behind there. And I've started referencing these little ECUs that talk to the gauges as like almost little door speaker equalizers. You know what I mean? Like they're about that same idea, and they've got little flat screws in them to drop your wires into and stuff. So, I'm like, yeah, you don't want to like pull those out every time, right? So I'm like, fuck, maybe Amazon's got some. Oh shit, right?
Oh, I saw
16
your
wire.
yeah.
Yeah. But then at the same time, I'm thinking, okay, this thing's all got to go back in and on the dash. And like, I don't want it to be bouncing into shit and getting tangled up with like if I came down the headlight side of my switch, right? So anyway, this thing showed up. I went, ooh, Jesus Christ, it's a little bigger than what I thought I probably wanted. But anyway, it all worked. I think that connector, well, I know that connector will live essentially outside the bezel, get tucked in behind the dash. And going to the digital dash is going to help because you kind of like tuck your left and right connector in behind the dash anyway after, right? So it can be done. The only thing that I'm a little worried about is like telepathic communication between wires, right? Especially when you're talking sensors and shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, if I start going down the road and seeing things glitching, I'm going to go, fuck me. But we'll see. Right now, everything seems to work.
Yeah. Well, if it was like analog related shit, I'd say you'd have more to worry about interference. With like digital signals, I think you'll be all right.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I ran a big plug for essentially like all the sensor sending unit stuff and a whole separate plug for power ground. So I'm like, hopefully I've avoided any kind of cross contamination of, wires telepathically communicating with each other.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, should be neat. Be kind of neat to have, well, I'll have fuel pressure, oil pressure, coolant temp, intake air temp, and dual AFR. So, and I did a post on my YouTube channel. I was like, okay, I've kind of jumped on a few soapboxes going like, who the fuck needs all this monitoring? Why are people putting gauges everywhere? Blah, blah, blah. And now here I am running down this road, right? But it is also one of those things. It's the rabbit hole of Fox bodies. You're like, well, if I'm going to do dual AFR, and after talking to Mark and this whole 3D printed idiot light thing that he's got for these little 1.3 inch screens, I'm like, well, why wouldn't you run two more? Why would you just have those blank? Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, these gauges can run two things in them. Why would you only have one? So here I am with fucking 6 goddamn gauges. But yeah, it's pretty neat. Definitely a good way of using the real estate of a 87 through 89 dash bezel.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I'll have to once you report on that. I think that's
Yeah.
something that I want to possibly jump on because yeah, like the only other option, right, is like if I change my air management um on my air ride, but I mean, then you just end up with some weird controller dangling somewhere. Or like, where do you stick it? It's like, even it's sort of like having that Holly 3.5 inch screen, and I see these people making these brackets that go off like the hazard switch and stuff. I'm like, man, this looks like
Right.
dog shit. I don't care like what you do, like even the smaller Holly screens that people are sticking like in the clusters, and like unless it's the big screen, it's like half-assed and my not trying to offend anybody, but it's just like it's out of place. I guess is the best way to describe it. Like so, yeah, no, man, I'm sure you're gonna be really happy, man. Those Dakota Digital dashes, like there's one in that Coyote Swap vert that I got,
Yeah.
and they're so nice and clean looking. The only thing that pisses me off, and I want to say this one does it, is the tack signal always sort of like hangs, or it does like weird shit. Because like that module takes obviously the signal off the coil and it converts it, and it's like trying to do the needle. So you have to tell me if you get like this weird, like it hangs, or it kind of does like some weird behavior here and there.
Right. Because yeah, the only well, I put one in that convertible, and that was an auto. So I might not have noticed a hang, right? Because an auto
Yeah.
hangs anyway.
Yeah.
So okay, interesting. Yeah. I know they are neat. I'm with you. Like I think it's safe to say, at least in my opinion, that it's probably the best option that's out there. Because it does all the new age shit, right? Gauges sweep, they cycle, they do all the stuff that a new car would do. It's got the look, right?
So
So it's the OEM plus.
question.
Yeah.
There is an information screen in the center, right?
No.
It's only
No.
like numbers. Is there not a Dakota Digital that has like an info screen in the center that you could actually run more inputs and show more shit on?
Well, okay, so before this one came out, there was that VHX or VXH or something system. And remember, it kind of had like almost like the European, like 0 was straight down south.
Yep.
It was a weird looking gauge. So there's that one. I don't know. That one might have a message center, but these ones just have the two under the speedo and the tap.
Keep talking. I'm going to turn the ignition on in this car.
Okay. Yeah, because you in those digital message centers, you can, whatever your gauge cluster is, if it's a mile per hour gauge cluster, you can flip your little digital display over to kilometers per hour if you happen to come up to Canada. And then you get a digital oil pressure, digital coolant, and then a couple of trips. I think there might even be like maybe there's a quarter mile timer or something in there too. There's some like whatever kind of borderline hokey stuff as well. But yeah, the one that I put in Project Revert, it was slick. And I think that it's probably overall, if you're looking for an aftermarket dash, it's your best option.
Dude, I don't know if this is a different option.
Okay.
But check your WhatsApp.
Okay. There's something different going on in this one.
So there's information screens where you can run individual, like see some digital readouts. So you'll see oil, PSI, and water temp digitally.
Oh. Well, which gauge unit is that?
So this came in that Coyote Swap Vert project car that I bought. So I know the cluster that you have, and that's the one that I'm used to seeing. But this one is Foxbody layout, but with way more information.
Totally.
So now you've just sort of like, now I'm thinking of my brain, well, fuck, should I just be upgrading the cluster and then have multiple inputs and then I can see whatever I want? It's almost
Right
like a
there on the dash.
BMW. Like, and
Yeah.
there's two of them, right? There's one on underneath the tack needle and one underneath the mile an hour needle. So you could be like, whatever, fucking AFR probably, or like, I don't know, maybe it won't take an AFR input, but
Right.
it's definitely able to measure pressure and shit. So, but then I'd lose my silver face gauges. I don't know if I want to do that shit.
So, and sorry, what car is this one in?
So I bought that Vert that needs paint. It's like in shambles, but it's Coyote swapped with a TR3650 in it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And this is the cluster that's in that car.
Yeah.
Dude, I've never seen that cluster before. Weird. Like cool weird though.
Yeah.
Because yeah, the ones we're talking are almost like a little calculator screen.
Yeah. Yeah, like
right?
factory, like little odometers in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, this
This
one's
is proper
definitely,
big.
Yeah, and I don't know, like there's probably a switch somewhere, and maybe you can change the colors and do some like I don't know. Like I honestly I've spent no time with that car. I've like parked it. I took it down. I took the weed whip down with it the one day so I could like weed whip around the fence and shit just to make sure that it was still run and drive and stop, and which it
Yep.
does.
Right. Because yeah, even to your point, like the fact that the backlight is almost that kind of like, what
It
is that,
looks
like
like a
6 or
video, like a
7?
it looks like a Volkswagen circa 2000 VDO gauge style.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of like upward, like 6, 7,000 Kelvin, kind of bluey, whitey
yeah,
colory, right? Huh. Because yeah, the LMR, to the best of my knowledge, it just lights up like LED bright green,
yeah.
you know?
Well, there's that other cluster that I think John Brooks has, like that DIY
Yep.
or EFI tune, fuck something. I don't know. That one's
Yeah.
pretty neat. It's very Foxbody looking and gives you more information as well.
I wish I could remember who reached out to me, but another fella did recently that just got that one as well. And I think, well, they're quite a bit more reasonable than going to the full Holly screen one. But for all intents and purposes, picture in your mind the Holly screen, just with like way more options. It seems like it's a little bit more open source, if you will, than just
Yeah,
Holly's. You're in the Holly jail and that's what you get to work with. This thing will let you do whatever to it. Like it's like a side bitch. You know what I mean? Like it'll let you do anything. And yeah, it'll like go to all these other funky, I guess, nostalgic style gauges too, right? Pick your
yeah,
poison. So it's amazing how far a lot of this stuff's come. Hey, like, like driving War Admiral and like how instantly fucking fast that cluster responds to whatever's going on with that car to like the 100th of a degree too. You know what I mean? Like it's just instant.
yeah. Yeah,
Think
no,
back to
it's nice to see, and it's got like all those little because like it's in Justin's Atomic Fox as well, right? So it's cool that it sort of has like the high and the low little markers. So like when you're
yeah,
making boost, it'll be like, okay, yeah, no, I made fucking 10 pounds max. And I know I'm like, so you're not like having to worry about seeing how far the needle goes while you're trying to keep control of the car. The
yeah,
gauges are kind of doing it for you to let you know, okay, yeah, this was the max. Um, and this was the minimum,
yeah.
which is good, whether it's AFR or fuel pressure or whatever. Yeah, no, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I think, going back to what I was saying about how I think that LMR's option, or hell, whatever this one is, it sure looks like an LMR option, but just with more digital gauge real estate in it. But um, so I would say that that is your best option, like all in all, pound for pound. But when you get into like these big, nasty forced induction builds and stuff, like, yeah, probably something along the lines of the Holly or the other one that we can't remember the name of, where you can really build your dash around whatever, just a bright light flashing that goes, hey, fucko, you're about to explode, you know, if you keep pushing it. Whereas, yeah, you don't get that with the other ones. But I don't know, going back, like it seems like everything we're talking about tonight revolves around this, like just OEM plus, let's not get too far out of the like out of the center of the road here. That's where the LMR gauge cluster really hits the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
hey, I didn't get to say, how surprised I was at how frustrated and angry you were over that fucking speedo cable.
great minds think alike, buddy. That's exactly what I was just about to bring up. Oh, well, okay. And I know you can fucking get on the same page as me because, like, a speedo cable. Are you kidding me? Like, if someone came into your shop and said, dude, can you flip my speedo cable out for me? I'd be like, go get a sandwich and come back and your car will be ready, right? Fuck, man. Bolt cutters, side cutters, fucking tin snips. I had everything out of my like oh shit drawer to get that goddamn speedometer cable just out of the car. There's no fucking way, unless I took the Kenny Bell off, that I could get another speedometer cable in that car.
And is it worth drilling a different hole? Well, it doesn't matter now because you're going digital, but like if you were to do it again, would it be like, okay, I'm gonna get the fucking hole saw out and move the
Knock a new
location
hole
of
in.
this thing? Because like think about auto cars, they ran it through the clutch hole.
Right. Yeah. It actually, like, not that there's a pile of cars out there with Kenny Bells on it, but like, you know, Mike Tresca's white GT, fucking
Trucks.
oh shit. Chuck's I want to say Clive. I don't know why. Chuck's car. Well, and then it was in Justin's car. Like all those cars had OEM speedometers and dash clusters in them, right?
Yep.
I'm like, did I twist something up here? I know when I was trying to yard that bitch out from the engine compartment, I'm trying to get my hand under there. And you know how when you're in a tight spot, you're like, your body just tells you you might not get your hand back out. I was to my elbow, you know what I mean? That deep into it. And my arms all cut up from it, everything. But anyway, as I'm back in there, I'm like, fuck, did I maybe like, did my throttle cable go over when it should have went under? You know, and then I got crews coming over too. It's like, fuck, I don't know. Maybe something kind of got cross-threaded when that blower got dropped on there.
Right.
I don't know. So anyways, it didn't want to come out, pal. And okay, so my dash, or in behind my dash and firewall and everything, I still got that like kind of hard rubbery insulation shit on my firewall. Okay. Well, initially that cable and the little snap thing on it that ties into the back of your Speedo got hung up on that. So first I'm under the car. I got to think of a name for this. Every time I do it, it's like a reverse plank. You know, the Foxbody floor lay when you got like your back on the fucking door sill, feet on the ground, shoulders on the mat. Yeah. So I'm in that position with a pry bar trying to get that fucking rubberized insulation shit over so I could get my Speedo cable past that. Well, then once I get it past that, in behind there where you can't see, it's buried and it's stuck and I can't get it out. I'm like, why didn't I cut it when I could still see it? Right. So now I'm under the hood trying to push it back through and I can hear it going up and hitting like heater vents. So it's like twisted and it's snaked itself into no man's land. Well, anyway, finally I get in the reverse plank position again. I'm in behind the insulation, up by the fucking gas pedal, again, cutting the shit out of my forearm. And I feel it. I'm like, perfect, right? I got you now, you motherfucker. I start pulling. It won't come. I'm like, why can no one else be here right now? I need someone shoving from the hood side and I'll be pulling, you know? Anyway, I finally got enough where I could get my bolt cutters in there. But my bolt cutters, you know how they hinge so you can really get after cutting a bolt? Well, I got these things spread wide open like, you know, a fucking Thailand hooer. And I'm trying to fucking get them closed and I can't. Dude, I was sweating buckets, absolutely ready to throw shit all over a speedometer cable. And again, it's not like I'm trying to, you know, like get one back in. I'm just trying to get the fucking thing out.
So
and I can't.
Out of curiosity, why didn't you pull it from inside of the car out?
Initially,
Yeah.
didn't think that far ahead. I thought I could get it out the proper way, like through. Right.
It's like once you get that other end off the drive gear, it like it's not, there's not much there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like once you get that weird little snap clip thing off and you actually get it out of that assembly.
Right.
Then
but then you got that little steel deal that bolts to the frame rail. So you'd have to cut it before there if you did want to go that way with it.
Doesn't bolt to the frame rail. It's just a little clip thing that that's riveted to your floor pan. That one?
No, the one like coming up like the transmission tunnel, and you got that one tapered 10 mil that goes to like essentially the fuck
You're
am
thinking the clutch cable.
No.
Speedo cable. Speedo just sits in that little clip thing that's riveted to the floor.
The floor pan.
Yeah.
Well, unless they get rid of this in aftermarket format, but I mean, this is the original Speedo cable out of my car, and there's a hooked. Okay, so there's like on the cable, there's a steel sheath that's, I don't know, maybe half an inch long, and then there's a kind of clip thing that goes around it and a bolt that goes through to, it's not the transmission tunnel, but it's kind of that like frame raily area that comes up and over and shoots forward towards the bumper support.
I'm gonna have to look at this. It's not ringing a bell with me.
I wonder if well, you maybe see it in my video that I'm swearing up a blue streak. Yeah. But so anyway, there's a steel sheathing that this little bracketry goes around and bolts there. You'd have to cut it before that, or that's going to bind up on you. But again, the trouble was by the time I had it back towards at least as close to the grommet as I figured I could get it, then I was fucked. I couldn't go back the other way because I had nothing to grab on in the cab side.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah. I should have just, when it was sitting there, like when I pulled it off the dash itself, speedometer, I should have just clipped it on the firewall side. One pull, I would have been done. But here I was an hour and a half later fighting this goddamn thing.
Well, hey, you still got the job done at the end of the day, so you're all right.
Got her done. It is when you're hitting the shit, but the oh shit button in a situation like that, it's really nice to know that you do not have to retrace your steps back down that path and reinstall something out of a shitty situation. That was my winning moment. I was like, thank fuck. I'm done with this speedometer cable shit. Oh. But yeah, and standard issue, had a real pain in the ass trying to get the little aluminum thimble in where you pull the speedo cable out of like the VSS deal.
Yeah.
That is such a hokey system. That fucking little eyelet clip thing, you know?
Yeah. No,
you can have some speedo cables that's just like meant to happen, and you can have some that you will like kick rocks all over the shop trying to get a fucking speedometer cable into that thing.
I feel like if you're using an aftermarket cable, it sucks. And most importantly, if you're getting an aftermarket clip.
Yeah.
I feel like there's something like the spring, or it's too tight or whatever it is. Fucking like hearing shit. Yeah, there's
Crickets.
something. It's probably poor aftermarket stuff at the end of the day. Like everything.
Yeah. It's true. Well, the little thimble LMR gives you, I mean, it is pretty much like a 90-degree lathe cut piece. So like you're really just driving a thimble into a fucking square 90. So that was a little bit of a pain in the ass. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I think I've had a few guys reach out and go, oh, are you doing the GPS thing? I'm like, to be honest, based on the one that I've done before, I don't really see the need. Like you go out, you measure your mile and you do your drive and boom, you're done. Now, I don't know, this crossed my mind the other night. I don't know if you disconnect your battery, if you got to redo that again. That might be the only knock to my theory of the measured mile thing.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny. I got to do that in that Godzilla swap truck. And I haven't done it yet. That whole measure the mile thing.
I think you only get like, well, maybe not only, maybe it's 100 miles. Like you have a time limit or a distance limit to do it. And then I think it says, fuck you, we're not running.
Oh, no shit.
I believe so.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. Yeah. But so that may be the only knock to this theory of mine. But I don't know, that one in Project Revert, like it worked like a hot damn,
Yeah.
right? You watch your little digital readout do all its funny number things as it's kind of calibrating itself, and boom, you're done.
Huh.
So, and again, I don't know if with the GPS unit, you may not have to worry about that. So maybe that's the pro. But it's like anything with these things, right? Like I actually bought the new rad wiring harness, which is quite cool, I will say, especially after doing one the other way, where you're either
Oh, it's
picking
just
wires
like
out of
you're
your connectors.
using the factory connectors
Yeah,
and plug those in. Yeah.
yeah. Very, very slick system. And I mean, it's like my daughter could do it. You know what I mean? Everything's labeled. There's no
Yeah.
guesswork, no nothing. And they give you a pile of wire too, which is uncommon these days, right? Because wire ain't cheap anymore. But so that's pretty slick. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a overall pretty good bang for your buck, you know?
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, man, you're
And
gonna
obviously,
be like digitally outfitted like no other.
it's true. Funny enough, I didn't bite on this. I'm getting better at not biting on like shitty comments anymore. I used to, right? And I think anyone that does, if you don't care, then maybe you're in you're not putting yourself out there enough, or you don't care enough about the stuff that you're doing, because we put a lot of time and effort into these things that are essentially a showing of us, right? Here's our car, here's what we think's neat or whatever. Well, anyway, somebody out there, I'm guessing an old timer, right, did the whole who needs all that, and the OEM's more than enough, and it's all you young guys. And then there was a final thing about there's a fine line between nice and rice. And I'm like, oh, that one cut a bit. Like, right? Like,
Oh,
fuck. But and there was something else in there too about resale. And I'm like, don't worry about that one, bud. Okay.
yeah.
Resale is never coming into the picture here. But I don't know. I think it's neat. There's been a lot of guys that have reached out and said, like, shit, never thought about doing that. And I'm like, well, listen, I can't take credit for this. I'm just the dummy that's got a little bit of a platform to show you guys this stuff. But Mark, Incon Fox, like, he's the guy that kind of dreamt this up. And I think I've never met him in person, but the sense that I get, he's just such a humble guy, right? He's like, oh, no, don't worry about me. It's like, no, dude, like, you're the brains of this. And I think it'd be kind of nice for people to know that, you're a super bright guy and you thought of this. But anyway, I don't know. It's something different. You know what I mean? And there's not too many things that haven't been done with these old cars.
That is true.
Right? Look at your idea with the mean eyes on the shit box, right?
Yeah.
And that was a love-hate thing. But I think a lot of people, probably, I'd say more than 51%, were like, no shit. Right?
True. Yeah.
I would say more, like, how do I say this better? Like, there was more hate, or sorry, more love than expected for something that far out there.
No, fair enough. Actually, I came up with something really cool on that blue and silver two-tone car. I'll bring it up off topic because I'll see if you think it's been done before and what your thoughts are, because
Okay.
it might be something that I'll scale upward. It's something pretty basic too. So, but that's the cool thing, right? Like innovating and coming up with new shit.
It's true, man. And it goes back to like how we all say, like, when a group of us get together and like get to spend some time around each other's cars at a Airbnb or whatever it is, right? It's like, it's all those little things, you know, and you think about how many of us out there have all these neat little things, and hell, it might even just have been a way that you ran something, you know, like something just so simple and so subtle. But, you know, when we're all parked in rows at car shows, all that stuff just gets walked by and forgotten about and never talked about and whatever. And I don't know, it's kind of sad in a way, you know?
Yeah.
Because yeah, like how many times are you there in the shop midnight, right? And you're like, huh, I never thought of doing that or whatever. And you do it and maybe forget about it, maybe you don't, but it just kind of dies right there with you, right?
Yeah. Or sometimes you do it and you're like, oh, I've never seen this before. Then you look it up and you're like, oh shit,
Yeah,
it has been done before.
totally. Yeah. It's in
I
the
figured it out the hard way. Fuck.
yeah. Yeah. Could have just done a Google search. Totally.
Oh,
Okay. Well, ladies and gents, we started this one a little late. I had a haywire day today. We're probably going to cut her short here because poor Chris is crowding midnight as we record this. And well, and you had the parents in tonight too, right? So that's always takes a little bit of wind out of a guy's sail.
oh, for sure. No, it's been busy, man. I got all those cam swaps done on those Godzillas and learned some stuff there too. So a hair up blower will not work with a Holly high mount accessory drive system. Uh,
Ooh.
so you have to use the factory timing cover, which means if you're running the factory timing cover, you need an oil pan solution that will clear your K member because you cannot run the shallow oil pan without running the Holly timing cover. So thankfully, I've found a source that has an oil pan solution with a factory timing cover. And yeah, got the hair up mocked up. So that's good. And then the other NA motor is pretty much ready. So I'm waiting for our friend Andrew Hanlon to send me my QuickTime bell housing, clutch, flywheel, all that good stuff for the T56 setup. And I've already got the 10R80 for the other car sitting on the ground. So I should be lifting some front ends up here in the air shortly and putting some power plants in, which is fun.
Cool, buddy. Okay, so hold on, got questions. The one that's getting the hair up, it's getting the T56.
No, it's going 10R80.
Oh, either way, that's pretty cool.
I think
Like,
the hair
you
up
know
with
what
the
I mean?
10R80 is going to be fucking insane, dude. Because just
Yeah.
constant power band of boost and just like you're not shifting as fast as that transmission can shift.
Right.
Well, I guess
Wow.
arguably you could, but you know what I mean. Like it's a different driving experience, so it should be pretty fucking cool.
Totally. Yeah, just hold on. Okay, and then the one with the hair up, I'm assuming that that's the one that was getting the fancy accessory drive.
So I wanted to see if it would work because he wanted, stuff all black. So all the accessory drive and everything was technically purchased for the NA motor to start with
Okay.
because he knew he was going to do that. So it comes with the Holly low profile intake manifold, which will fit underneath the stock hood if that's what you want to do. But I wanted to try and mock the hair up on it because if it fit, you can get that Holly kit in black, which is what I have. You can get it both in silver or black.
Uh-huh.
And it comes with new accessories as well. So you get a new alternator in black, power steering pump in black, AC compressor in black, like the whole works, right? So I guess I shouldn't say it wouldn't work. It'll work if you don't want to run AC.
Mm,
And you being a Kenny Bell guy, you'll understand, how the boost bypass valve is integrated into the casing.
yeah.
Uh, Now Chuck's motor a little bit different. Like they created that pipe, like somebody TIG welded something else and kind of like moved it a little further away.
Mm,
The problem with the hair up and probably a Whipple or the Eaton blowers that are on Lightnings is that they have like an actuated rod that drives that bypass valve that's like all integrated into the system. So that whole unit literally sits like where the corner of the AC compressor is on that high mount
oh,
setup. So if you didn't want AC, then you'd be okay. Um, but otherwise, yeah, you'd have to come up with some weird way of like ditching that bypass and coming up with some sort of like remote bypass
Right.
blow off. On the root stuff, they're all called bypass valves. But yeah, that's the only hiccup. And like the guy, because it's the hair up's going in a black notch, kind of wants to keep like everything sort of like murdered out. So I'm gonna have to see if like the timing cover. So the good news is it utilizes factory accessories and everything, but they're all silver in color. So it's like, do I pull shit apart? Is shit gonna get painted? What can I pull apart far enough that can get powder coated? So
Right.
that's kind of a toss up.
Interesting. Huh. Is this the first Godzilla hair-up that you're aware of, like in North America?
Going in a Fox, yes. I don't think it's the first setup.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. Like, there's probably more out there. I don't know if they're running and driving. So I guess that'd be the question mark.
Well, yeah, and we say that all the time. Like, based on what we see online, is I don't know, maybe a pretty good majority of what's going on in the world, but there's always a handful of guys that got a flip phone, right? And they're not
Yeah.
posting nothing, they're not whatever. What's going to control that motor?
So Ford's got a control pack now for the Godzilla and a 10R80. So technically factory electronics, which is pretty fucking badass. And then, get in there with HP tuners and, dial it up accordingly.
Oh,
And
you can do that. Like I'm a little out of the loop on this. So like the Ford control packs can be broken into.
yeah, so they come with a computer that doesn't have like a VIN number assigned to it. So it's not a production computer, but it is unlocked and, because it's not looking for PAT security for like key fobs and body control module communication and all that shit. So like that all gets stripped out of those computers and they'll tell you like you cannot use this computer in a VINed vehicle. Like you couldn't take it and throw it in an F-150 or a Mustang and hope that it won't work because it'll be looking for all the patch shit will be fucking overlapping and doing a bunch of stuff. So yeah, you can 100% you can get in and do a tune on them and everything else. So like Jerry's hatch, which he's put himself in body shop jail. It's kind of sort of comical. So that was a Ford Control Pack Coyote 10R80 setup. And Palm Beach Dyno did all the remote tuning and everything on that one via HP tuners. And yeah, so he's like his father-in-law, who is South American, you know what I mean? Like has the body shop skills. I guess it's been like in the family for a long time. He's like, oh, I'm gonna paint the car. And he's got like I think he's going the mischievous purple.
Oh,
And so he's got the paint, got everything. Father-in-law did all the body work, buys himself an inflatable paint booth. Paint booth's got a leak.
oh shit.
And then we had all the storms and the weather, right? So it was sort of like trying to coordinate all this shit accordingly. So by the time the weather got good, he finally inflated the paint booth and it's faulty.
Oh,
Sends it back, gets another paint booth. That motherfucker's faulty. So like
oh,
to put this into perspective, like he was genuinely on track to have that car at Mustang Week Galveston. Like
Jer.
and now it's like the car's still not even now he's got some other like priority type stuff. So I feel
Wasn't
bad
the
for him.
paint good on the car?
It was like a nice white. So he's actually doing a Detch kit. So it's gonna be a
Oh,
Detch and mischievous purple. That's why he wanted the engine base silver. He wanted to do a little bit of the contrasty type shit as well.
oh,
Uh
so you dusted the engine bay.
yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, why the fuck wasn't he thinking this before?
Yeah.
Right before the motor went in.
Yeah. So that car, you know what I mean, is sort of the same principles, Ford control pack, running everything. So same thing with the Godzilla, which is nice, because Ford's not going anywhere. So if something goes wrong, it's easy to address. And then the naturally aspirated motor will be running on a Terminator X because it's manual. So it's easy you don't have a transmission to control. So it's just kind of keeping the basics.
Okay. So okay, and that's news to me too. So Terminator X is an option for Godzilla's.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
And which I did not know until recently. So the individual that is doing the oil pan option with the factory timing cover, he actually also made custom billet 7.3 badges, which
Oh,
War Admiral, if you're listening, he's going to make me 6.0 badges because he was all like, I guess he helped out some other guy that's got a 363 and then the
yeah.
mold broke. And then Tom's like, I'm not letting anyone else get a fucking 6.0 badge made. Well, motherfucker, I'm getting them made for Justin's Atomic Fox. And there'll be a nice Tiffany blue fucking dot in there to match the car. So,
Well,
um, so he has a custom intake insert that goes like where your factory air box goes. And then
yeah.
like all TIG welded up with like either a 3.5 or 4-inch outlet. So kind of it'd be beneficial if you were doing a Coyote swap or Godzilla or whatever to kind of have more of a factory-esque look if you're not shaving out the bay. So he's designed that
And
and
factory location?
factory location.
Cool.
Yeah, with a nice like K&N on the inner side.
Oh, yeah.
And he's now made an oil pan that'll clear Lincolns.
Hey,
So
now.
he solved my oil pan clearance issue in the factory cradle, and he put me in touch with a guy that is custom fab long tubes for 2 Lincolns now. And so I'm next on the list for the third set, which means
Uh-oh.
my exhaust woes and consideration issues have been addressed. Now, I really want to stick a 10R80 in there as well, which I'll probably have to do a little bit of trans tunnel modification or like even maybe a little bit of bench seat modification. But I did learn that Holly will run a 4R70, which bolts to the fucking Godzilla.
Oh, interesting.
And it's a tiny little transmission that will fit in a Lincoln.
Right.
So
Yeah, 'cause
if
you
I,
said they got a funny tranny hump, right? Like it's really low.
yeah, like there's not much. So like you kind of want to try and get the motor as far forward in that engine bay as you possibly can. Um,
Then just
so
get a custom drive shaft or fuck, you
yeah,
probably almost need a two-piece in that big bitch.
it's a single, but she's long.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the good news is I've actually all the objections and excuses that I've had to not start working on the Lincoln have now all been overcome.
I was gonna
So
say, yeah, now you're out of excuses.
yeah,
Shit. You're probably
which I'm
going, damn
excited
it.
for. No, I'm
Oh,
excited for it, man. I want to get that fucking thing running.
rocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool, man. What is I'm sure you've hypothesized like with this hair up, where are you thinking this thing's gonna be in the spectrum of power?
So the Truck Norris cams that I put in now, it might not be the most efficient cam for boost, but the advantages of it are it's designed to make power at lower RPM. It's 100 horsepower over stock.
Jeepers.
Um, no upgrade to your valve springs required, just a push rod change. So when you think about cost and ease and everything else, and for anybody who's curious, you can actually change the cam in a Godzilla without worrying about the lifters. Like they'll stay in the tray. So if you
Right.
spin the cam, they'll stay in place. I got these cool threaded rods with magnets on the end that I dump down the push rod holes. So
Oh yeah.
I guess for small block guys, you're used to you take the lower intake manifold off, and technically you can pull the lifter, hold down tray off and pull all your lifters out and not have to worry. You know what I mean? But the Godzilla, it's almost like a mod motor. Like the lifters are below the heads.
Yeah, it's like an LS.
Yeah.
What
So
is
it's
an
like,
LS?
yeah. So it's like you don't have you don't have easy access to your lifters. We'll put it that way. So, yeah, you can do it. There's a couple things. You can spin the cam before you take it out. And as long as you're doing things fairly quickly, the lifters shouldn't drop.
It's
Or
stick.
if you got it on a stand, you can turn the motor upside down, and then obviously gravity is going to keep the lifters in place. But yeah, I got these cool little like all thread with magnets and wing nuts on, and the wing
Oh, yeah.
nuts just kind of, you just get it to the spot where you can hear it holding or feel it holding the lifter up, and that way it's just like extra peace of mind.
True.
So I guess, yeah, so 430 horse is stock with a clutch fan. The clutch fan is massive on these things. So I've heard the rumor that you free up 20 horse with no clutch fan.
Right. So
Um,
450.
so you're 450, or like, yeah, and then the cam is 550. If you factor, in most cases, a supercharger adds 40% more power. So I'm gonna guess it's gonna be 800.
Fuck me.
And like torque for fucking, like, I can just like
Diesel
imagine.
level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yes.
Unreal. And like not breaking a sweat either.
Yeah, because like I've driven, like, you know what I mean? Like that Godzilla I did in the ramp truck, which is a pretty serious fucking outfit in pure stock form. Like that thing got up and went.
Yeah.
Like with its factory clutch fan and no fancy tuning, nothing, just in factory mode, which I'm sure anybody who's rented a U-Haul, right, that, you know, has driven it, have been impressed by moving a big fucking refrigerator, mobile
Yeah.
refrigerator down the road, you know?
And then you throw that in a 3,000-pound notch. Holy.
Yeah.
What a monster.
Yeah, it should be perfect for the Lincoln. Like that's why I mean, like 4 speed. I think like worst case, like a 6R80 would be okay in there. Like I am. The only thing I don't like about the 10 speed that I noticed in Jerry's car is that if you're just putting around, it's doing a lot of fucking shifting.
Mm,
Kind of like in and out and this gear, that gear. Like it's smooth, but like it's going through gears a lot.
right.
Now, when you're in power band and you're on it, cool as fuck. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well,
I
not
guess,
like
yeah,
skip gears too, right? Like when you're on it, it'll go like 3, 5, 7,
yeah,
you know, because there's no sense in hitting those other gears, right? We're just talking like
yeah,
waste of time.
yeah. So that's the only thing. I'll just have to figure out which transmission ultimately I like to go with. And the reason why I'm shying away from the 6R80 is that, as probably as good of a balance it would be between the 4R70 versus the 10R80, is that there's no control pack that runs the Godzilla and the 6R80 collectively. You'd have to run the
Oh,
Godzilla independently, whether it's Ford, Mars, Holly, and then you'd have to run the 6R80 on a US shift controller, which they've pretty much mastered it. But
right.
it's just sort of like, man, you got two computers to deal with or two controllers. Like, it's nice to just have everything, you know, in one.
Yeah. True enough. Oh, that's cool, man. On all fronts. I'm excited for you to get that Lincoln project going. I know those things are projects like that, right? It's like when you, I don't know, they consume your subconscious and you don't
Yeah.
even know it. You know what
Well,
I
it's like,
mean?
you know how stuff turns into a barn find. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it just, you got to give yourself some deadlines. And it's like, okay, the objections are gone. So, like, you know, I can now order, whether, I think it's shit. Universal Air is the air ride company. I think that Lewis went after for his rear bags for the Cobra because the Ride Tech shit was discontinued, or the Firestone bags, I should say, that Ride Tech used got discontinued. Um, so Universal Air, I think, came out with a pretty cool kit for Lincolns. But I know Devious Customs out of California, like they're like the gurus of Lincolns, if you will. Which I think that their kits also address brakes and spindles
Mm.
and all that shit, if you know you're going down that road. So I have to revisit a conversation with them because, yeah, like once I'm gonna leave that bitch patina initially, and like the interior that I have for the car is actually fairly decent. It was like the seats were reupholstered and everything else. So like, I mean, it's just make it drivable and make it cool and enjoy it and whatever. Worry about the paint shit later.
Yeah, if you even do. Right?
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, because it's hard to compete with a patinaed rig. You know what I mean? You're kind of the only one that's patinaed in that fashion.
Yeah. Oh, true, man. So, oh, and then
Yeah.
wheels, right? I'd have to figure out, probably just do like some Detroit steels in 22s to start, but like some of they're called ISO, fuck. There's a name for these aftermarket Conti wheels, isotopes, isopro fucking something. I'm gonna say like isopropyl alcohol. Um, so it's like he does like a group order like once a year. So there's like a deadline every year if you want to get in on the production run. And there's a couple different styles of, as Continentals evolve. So it's like the reimagined Cobras that
Right.
Jason makes, but he does it for the Conti wheels, like the ones that have like a lot of the fins that go all the way around, but he makes them all the way up to 22s,
Oh,
um,
cool.
which are not cheap, let me tell you.
Right.
But like, yeah, they look badass. So I definitely have to
Totally.
make sure the wheel game is right.
Yeah, on par.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm excited for you, dude.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Well, I think that gives everybody about as good an update as we can give them for this week, hey?
For sure. Yeah, we even hit
Yeah.
2 hours. That's acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for the understanding, folks. For those of you that like the 3 hours, sorry we've been slacking a little bit lately, but we're trying our best.
Yeah.
So